News when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Amy Morris. There's your closing bell for this Friday on Wall Street, where stocks extended their declines as reports of Iran's retaliation against Israel's attack on its nuclear facilities is raising more concerns about escalating conflict. We do bring you closing numbers each day here at Bloomberg. The S&P 500 is down 68 points. NASDAQ is down 256 points. The Dow lost 770 points. The 10-year Treasury yield at 4.4%, the 2-year yield at 3.95%. NYMEX crude oil is 7.5% higher, now trading at $73.18 a barrel. Brent crude is 7.2% higher, now trading at $74.36 a barrel. Iranian state media says the country's forces downed 2 Israeli fighter jets during a massive Israeli air raid. An Israeli official says the U.S. is also helping Israel intercept those Iranian missiles. Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz says Iran crossed a red line by firing into civilian areas and threatens that the Ayatollah regime will pay a, quote, heavy price. Former UN Ambassador John Bolton tells Bloomberg TV when it comes to Iran's missiles, there are just too many unknowns.
No one can know whether under the nose cone of one or more of those ballistic missiles is a nuclear weapon. And Israel doesn't want to live under that threat, and we wouldn't either.
Hear more from former UN Ambassador John Bolton on Bloomberg's On the Close podcast. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer and President Trump have agreed on the importance of diplomacy and dialogue after they discussed the military action in the Middle East overnight. The Prime Minister's office says Starmer spoke to Trump this evening, reiterating his worries about escalation.
I'm very concerned about the situation that is developing, and we've had grave concerns about the nuclear program that Iran is putting together, and we absolutely recognise Israel's right to self-defence. We, the UK, were not involved in this attack, and we're urging all sides to de-escalate.
Starmer declined to comment on whether Britain would help defend Israel from Iranian attack, adding he would speak with Netanyahu today, and Israel closed its embassy in London today. Both United and Delta Airlines have suspended air travel from the U.S. into Tel Aviv. Business executives around the globe are watching. Jim Farley is the president and CEO of Ford Motor. He spoke with Bloomberg at Le Mans about the impact on oil.
We're 60% almost of the commercial business in the U.S., and a lot of that is energy. So you go to Odessa, Texas, everyone drives a Ford Super Duty. So, if oil isn't in that $65, $70 range, our customers suffer.
Ford CEO Jim Farley speaking with Bloomberg. Catch that full conversation on YouTube on the Bloomberg podcast channel. The U.S. and Vietnam are close to reaching a framework trade agreement despite concerns about Chinese goods being rerouted through Vietnam to avoid tariffs. The agreement would include U.S. demands like stricter reinforcement against transshipment of Chinese products and removal of non-tariff barriers. Vietnam is seeking tariffs in the range of 20 to 25%. Final details are still being worked out. The University of Michigan Consumer Sentiment Survey had a larger than expected bounce to its highest level since February. Consumer sentiment rose more than 8 points to 60.5 in June, exceeding expectations as concerns about the economy eased and short-term inflation expectations improved. Joanne Shu is director of consumer surveys at the University of Michigan and says consumers are a little less worried, but there is room for improvement.
At the same time, we're still, almost 20% below where we were back in December after sentiment saw a post-election bump. So consumers are still pretty far from where they were just a few months ago, and they don't think we're out of the woods yet.
The survey finds views of business conditions, finances, and buying conditions remain below levels seen at the end of last year. That's news when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Amy Morris. This is Bloomberg.